Hello again, everybody. Welcome to some Toonkind at 12 frames per second. My name is Whis, and I'm one of your players today, and I am still in NPC land. I have had 5 FPSs this week, and only one of them I have played one of my PCs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. However, I am joined here today by one of my bestest roleplay buddies ever, who is super cool and funny and awesome and clever.
Hey now. Hi, I'm RJ. I am playing a teenager.
Oh dear. Teenager whom we very much appreciate.
Teenager's been handed a very powerful power.
Yeah, kinda. So this is taking place before the end of an Arc FPS. We are still aboard the boat that makes up the majority of the Requiem fleet at the moment, which is the good question today. It might be who's asking tomorrow. We don't know. But it's the good question today. And we are sailing away from the remnants of Cinnabar Island, heading towards Cantos and Lavender Town. And one of the people on board is in shackles and nobody likes him.
Absolutely fucking not. We don't.
And it is in complete
rancid man.
He's a rancid man.
Horrid
absolutely.
Vibes.
100%. But he has had a couple of people come in and say hi to him over the course of this trip. And we're going to go into one of them today. So after the big showdown and everything on Cinnabar, how's Gali feeling?
Gali is kind of sort of fucking wired right now.
I mean, fair. Adrenaline is definitely
a lot. That was a lot.
Yeah.
They said a dead man in a brand new body had feminine hips. That's gonna be the highlight of. That's gonna be the highlight of their life for a while.
That was so fucking funny. Of all the things I was expecting you guys to say, that was just not on the list. That was not on the list.
Oh man, Ouroboros Part 1 sure was a game.
Sure was. Oh, golly. Oh man, I'll get around to transcribing it eventually. It'll be so good.
If Kraken doesn't do it before you.
If Kraken doesn't get there first. Oh dear. But yes, so completely buzzed. I'm going to say that this sort of fits in after the talk FPS, so after Scribbles has come in to have a chat, but before Lynn. And so you know exactly where he's being kept, and there's nothing stopping you from going down there. Wariwashi and Lynn and Marigold and Scribbles and Sally are all in different parts of the ship, as is the captain of the ship. He's at the helm. So you are being left to your own devices as we head to the island where your brother is, which is exciting.
Terrible idea, leaving a teenager to run rampant on the ship alone. Yeah. So, I think he takes a second to figure out what the fuck his game plan is for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, it entirely boils down to Try not to get mad. Get mad.
Fair.
Because he knows, if nothing, he knows himself, and he knows that Arc Alamos is a big old trigger. So,
yeah, fair enough. Alright, well, I might kick us off with the perception that I've done for all of his visitors, see whether or not he notices 1 out of 3. Oh, okay. Maybe he does notice 1 out of 3. What's your perception?
to be fair, Gali is fucking bright white and blue.
I mean, I guess. You have no modifiers, which means that your perception is a 19 total.
Oh damn! Just flat 19 on the way. Cool. Yeah. No. Yeah. There is. He's making no attempts to hide his entry.
Mm-hmm.
The door opens. Gali steps in and he closes it with a distinct clang behind him. Not quite slamming it because he doesn't know if the ship is sentient like Requiem was.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't want to be rude to the ship if it is, because it's not the ship's fault that this bastard's here.
Yeah, that's fair.
But definitely heavily closing the door.
Yeah, absolutely. So he is sitting on the floor and his hands are bound behind his back. And as soon as the door opens, he is immediately turning to look at you. And he just sort of takes you in as he sees you. And then he just sort of leans back slightly in a, oh, okay, sure, kind of way. Hello again, Mr. Ade.
Hello again, motherfucker.
You throw those real kind words around fairly easily. I'd watch my mouth if I were you.
Cat, don't have one.
Uh-huh. The greatest wit.
Well, if you didn't want to get sallied, you shouldn't leave yourself open. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
I suspect not. But go ahead, illuminate the situation for me.
I mean, I just have one simple question, really. Why? Why do any of it?
Are you the hired muscle that they've brought into this with no knowledge of what's going around you?
No, I'm the kid whose brother you stole, who then had to spend fucking years of his life trying to find his brother.
Well, the way I see it is that I was protecting you from when he turns on you.
They just tip their heads slightly, inviting him to elaborate.
Oh, well. If no one deigned to explain the situation to you, well, that is indeed a shame. But there is only evidence that goes towards that dark type that you associated with. Eventually turning on you, like all the others did. So, in my mind, I was doing you a favor.
What evidence?
When I was a younger man than I am now, I knew many dark types. And ghosts, too. And I had those who I used to call friends. Turn and slay those around me. And pave the way for others to turn their weapons on me. And I saw this play out again and again. Those we thought were friends betrayed us in the end.
So you got burned, and instead of, I don't know, trying to resolve the situation peacefully, you decided, fuck him. Is that right?
You think we didn't try?
I think you got scared. And I think that fear wasn't something you could handle. And I think that fear got turned into anger because you're a sad little man who has my pity.
Do I now? Pity?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, originally, it was your dark type son that I pitied. Don't think I didn't know about that, by the way. I saw him running around your gardens. And I felt so fucking sorry for him. Having you for a father.
Would you like to roll a quick insight?
Ooh. Oh, that's good, that's good. Where is my insight? That's up for. 22.
Alright, phew. Let's see what his deception looks like. Rolled at disadvantage because he does still have 2 points of exhaustion. Oh, look at that! Cool, alright. That's a 21 versus a 22, so you win. Yeah, his eye twitches when you make such a point on your dark type son. He's not particularly pleased that you're drawing attention to it. But he doesn't interrupt. He's just looking at you, and that kind of neutral glare that he always seems to have just is narrowed ever so slightly.
Yeah. I used to pity him for having you as a father, man. But no, it's you I pity. No, because you are a sad little man who is so afraid of the dark, of things that hide in corners, that you couldn't get out of a war that ended years ago. You painted 2 typings with the same brush as the jackasses that did that, gestures in the vague direction of where they came from. Because you're afraid. And you can't stand being afraid.
I wonder if you were in my position, if you would be afraid.
Nah. Because if I were in your position, I wouldn't have been a gigantic cockhead about it all.
Really? You may detest me for taking your brother away, but I can assure you there are far worse things. Far worse things.
Oh, what? Like your wife dying?
Huh. So you do know a little bit after all.
I'm good at putting clues together. Not as good as the detective, but I'm a little bit smart.
I see. Well. Then yes.
Big fucking whoop. So you lost someone. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Everyone's gonna die in the end, dipshit.
Profound.
Move the fuck on.
And how, pray tell, do you expect me to do that? If I allow the types that took her from me to walk free?
By recognizing that those motherfuckers are not the same guys. You're no better than the King of Rings.
Now that's just insulting.
It's fucking true.
Do you know how many lives he ended with his own hands?
Rolls his eye, but gestures you to get to your point.
You may think that my actions have been cruel and unnecessary. But he was the king of such things. More than any king of rings nonsense that he liked to tout. He killed people with his own two hands, all throughout the course of the war, possibly even beforehand.
And you're gonna sit there and pretend you didn't? It's war. People die.
Don't have to pretend anything. We went out of our way not to kill. And we were not repaid in kind by this.
You know, somehow I don't believe you.
Somehow I don't care.
But you should. Because I am one of the voices that you didn't listen to, but you're going to listen now. Because you don't have a fucking choice.
Well, I suppose if you're going to have a captive audience, yes. Surely there are other things you could be doing rather than being in here bothering me.
Yeah, probably. But I'm here. At the end of the day, you can justify it however the fuck you like, but in reality, you're just a sad little man stuck in the past, unable to get past your fucking terror. You are jumping at shadows that do not exist anymore. You lash out like a scared child, throwing a temper tantrum because things didn't go your way.
I hope you're not expecting some sort of epiphany from me.
No, that would be giving you too much credit. Like I said, you're stuck in the past, stuck on your terror. You've turned to anger because you can't bear to let someone else have control. And all you've done is box yourself into a cage. One of your own making. A prisoner of your own beliefs. Because you're so damn scared about a threat that hasn't existed in years that you lock away innocent people because of it.
You're right that the threat hasn't existed in years. Because I worked very hard to keep it that way.
The threat hasn't existed in years because you sealed it into a fucking island.
You're right that wasn't the most intelligent move I could have made. I should have killed it.
Not really. Yeah. Like, I'm genuinely curious as to why you didn't, why you came up with this whole convoluted ass plan. Like, I'd understand it if he couldn't be killed, but clearly he can be. So, was it just needless complication? Was it, I don't know, some fucking need to be so smart, so intelligent, so much cleverer than your enemy? Like, arguably this is the most complicated fucking way you could have done it. And you didn't even keep the fucking thing. I have it. And he holds up his hand with the bracelet on. I have this power now. I can use it on you right now. You just left this lying around for literally anyone to stumble upon and take. What the hell, man? There's idiocy, and then there's that.
I'm struggling to keep a straight face on this end. Oh my god. Do you want to roll a persuasion?
I can fucking try. Flat fucking nothing, let's go. Well. Get shamed by a teenager.
Love that! I love that! That's fucking fantastic. Okay, great.
Not 20 for the audience.
Love it. Alright. So, you, deliver this dressing down, and he leans back ever so slightly. I was not thinking clearly.
I don't think you were thinking at all, but continue.
We were in the process of losing everything. And in the moment, I had a choice. Lock him away where he could do no harm, or end his life. And it felt like my wife was watching which choice I made. So I chose leniency, which was a mistake.
You chose dumbassery.
It was supposed to be permanent. But again, young and panicking.
Gali takes a very deep breath, puts his hands together and points them at Arc, and goes, "Nothing in this world is permanent, not even death. But death would have been a hell of a lot more permanent than that."
Well, thank you for the insightful commentary. Hindsight is very easy to criticize.
I don't think that sentence makes sense.
Then let me rephrase it for you. It is very easy for you to stand there and criticize me with all the hindsight that you have. To be able to look back and pick out all of my every little mistakes. At the time, I didn't have such a luxury. And someday you will be forced to make a decision like that as well. Of that I have no doubt. And we'll see how well it goes for you at the time versus looking at it later.
You're right, it is easy for me to sit here and condemn you from the future where I've seen the consequences of your actions, and I do condemn wholeheartedly because your actions were fucking stupid and the outcomes were even more stupid. This did not need to happen. I'm willing to bet it did not need to happen then either. If you're just the same jackass then as you are now, I'm willing to bet this was boiling up for ages. And you only noticed it when people started shoving swords in your face. Because there's a saying that's kind of a bit moot for us because we don't have them, but you kind of cut your nose off to spite your face here, bud.
Sentiment works, I suppose. But I do wholeheartedly disagree.
You can disagree all you like. At the end of the day, I think really there's only one difference between you and Helios. And that's that his ball is bigger. Ace your turn, Nick.
Jesus fucking Christ, Archie.
I love playing rude teenagers. I can just kind of say stuff.
I've been sitting here trying not to just die. Oh my god. Amazing. Having a Christmas, okay. Alright. Great, okay. Cool. Nope, completely lost my train of thought now. Hold on, give me a second.
Well, Gali just left, so...
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he said that and then turned around and left.
Oh, too busy dying, completely missed that. Okay, great, okay. Cool. Cool. Alright. Well, that being the case, what is Gali going to do next? Go and get some sun on the deck, or what's the plan?
Well, Gali is gonna go ask Wariwashi if they wanna come with him when they reach the island, after he's dropped off the rocks, to go meet his brother. And then wait for them to get to the island.
Yep, cool. So I reckon this is probably where this FPS and the end of an arc FPS kind of intersect, because there will be a period of time where Lynn goes and talks to Arc Alamos, and then as that conversation between the two of them rock up, you are coming up to this big island. And if I'm understanding correctly, the shackles that Lynn put on Arc right from the get-go were magical shackles that interrupted, like, that he can't use his hammer space, and it interrupted, critically, the life locks that he had in place. So you're coming up to this island, and the the illusion. Let's just go with that word. The illusion that is over this island is still in place. So you are looking at this island and it looks like shit. Yeah, it's a shithole. It's a tiny desert in the middle of the ocean. There's not a single plant. You can see from where the good question stops some ruined buildings inland there, some distance from the beach, and a tiny shitty little dock. That's where your brother has been kept for the last couple of years, apparently. It's a shithole.
I kind of want to... There's... Oh, fuck, I forget the exact rules around it. I think it's investigation you can roll to figure out if what you're seeing is an illusion.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have the context to look at that. To think to look, even.
Yeah. Probably not. Let me see. Yeah. Carefully examining the illusion. Yeah, is an investigation. However, so you're looking at this really shitty looking place where apparently your brother has been living. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I think he's gonna go, well, assumably, there is some kind of township or something.
Mm-hmm.
that's where he's gonna go.
All right, shiny. So over the course of the parallel activities that are happening, Lynn gets aboard the ferryman's boat to go across to the island, and you can see him. Gali would recognize the ferryman quite easily, really. I think we actually talked to him in the first part of Ouroboros as well. But yeah, so he's here. But there is another small little boat that is like part of the equipment for the good question. So while Tarp is likely staying back on the boat because they've got a prisoner there, and VWild, you can correct me in the comments because I can see you're in here. That this the small jolly boat is what I've been calling it to help the others get to the island, because not everyone will fit on the ferryman's ferry, so they'd need to use the small boat. Yep, cool. All right, fantastic. So the small boat would be available to get across to the island, and Lynn is talking with the ferryman and one of the Mews from the Mutherhood, and this very tall-looking ghost type. What would you like to do?
Gali's very much of the I don't know how to access Unbekann's domain or even talk to them. I should probably hand those rocks off to that guy, looking at the ferryman. So he's gonna wait for that conversation to end and then try and snag the ferryman.
All right, no worries.
Gallivants off.
Okay, sure. Well, during this conversation with Mia and Yon and Lynn, the ferryman does move up towards those buildings. But in the interim, that ghost type that you can see them talking to, would you like to make a perception, actually?
Sure. Where did my D20 go? There it is. Okay, not horrible, not great, not horrible. That's the wrong. There. 14.
All right, cool. So as you get off the boat and you can see them talking, you can see that ghost type make a movement towards his collar, and then there's a shudder and you can see the environment change around you. Like, this island was nice, pleasantly warm, semi-tropical kind of temperature, even though it looked nothing like a semi-tropical kind of area. But then the environment changes, it shifts, and kind of in the way that old film would sort of like burn off of the projector as it was being played. It sort of melts off the environment as you can see it, and you are now standing on a tropical island. There are plants everywhere, and that town that you could see, it's got 4 times as many buildings. They're all in fantastic repair, and there was a big hunk of rock in the middle, and that's not a hunk of rock anymore. It's now a full tower built in a very similar style to a lot of the buildings that were on Cinnabar Island. And there are people everywhere. It's very, very different.
Something in Gali eases, knowing that the shitholeness of this island was an illusion. And he just kind of quietly goes, "Huh? Yeah, whatever. All the plants were. This is a fucking island of druids."
Yup. But yeah, so after that happens and the small group chats a little bit more, they move in towards the town, and they don't pay you really any attention when you're trying to follow. And the ghost type sort of leaves the group, and Lynn heads off in another direction, leaving the ferryman and the Mew from the Mutherhood to sort of mingle a little bit. There are people out in the streets chatting to the two of them, chatting with each other, looking up at the sky a lot. Like, a lot. But like, they haven't sort of disappeared into the ether. They're fairly easy to get to get to.
He's gonna walk over. Mr. the Ferryman, can I talk to you for a second?
Oh, by all means. And he just sort of slowly turns his whole body towards Gali and shifts his shoulders a little. How may I be of service?
Probably shouldn't say this in front of everyone.
A discreet matter. Very well. I know the perfect location. Follow me. And he'll turn again, and he starts heading through the town, through all of these people, towards that big tower that's built in the middle. And he goes up the set of steps in through an arched doorway. And just because you have historically got lots of success in translating the Unbekannt symbols, I'm just going to give it to you. Over the door is a carving of several words in Unbekannt symbols, and it says, read, learn, remember, over the doorway.
Neat. Yeah,
You alright
he says
there,
neat
dude?
and then walks inside. Yeah, I'm good.
Oh dear. Inside is a library. It's got a very similar vibe to it, to what you feel like a lot of the Cinnabar library would have felt like, just from those little ruined snippets that you caught when you were there. It's got a lot of books, like probably not as many as in the Hall of Origin on Johtos. But they're different kinds of books. Really, really different kinds of books. And they're laid out in a very, very different way. It's more done like a casual library, so there's no rows of books. It's like we've got a bookshelf here and a bookshelf there, and it's very haphazard, but it's cozy kind of thing. But there aren't really many people in here at the moment. Everybody is outside looking at the sky. So the ferryman moves to stand sort of off to one side a little bit near a bookcase and a desk, and then he just turns and moves his lantern. So, this discreet matter, Gali Ade. How can I help?
You did my name, okay.
I make it my business to know everyone's name.
That's cool as hell, actually. It's probably easier if I show you. And then he digs around in his scarf, and I need to find my goddamn D10. Right, there you are. Yeah, that tracks.
Did you fumble it?
Yep.
Incredible.
He's nervous.
He just spent 20 minutes dressing down Arc Alamos, and now he's talking to the Keeper of the Dead, and he's all like, oh no! Meek. I am meek teenager now.
Yeah, so he reaches into his scarf and pulls out a spyglass and is like, oh no. That's another fumble. That is a dancer's outfit. This isn't even my size. That's another fumble.
Take your time.
That's a cannonball, which he immediately drops because he's got the strength of a twig. That's another fumble.
Oh my god.
God damn it. That's a bar of soap. Come on! That's a stepladder. That's teapot. Oh, come on, bud. It's another spyglass. Oh, shit. The same dancer's outfit. Oh, come on.
Oh
It's a
gosh.
boomerang.
This is a good chain.
There we go. Really? 6.
Wow!
Oh my god.
Good effort!
One pile of stuff later, he pulls out the rocks, and is very much not looking at the Ferryman. He is so embarrassed.
Oh, crumbity Christmas. Okay, cool. That was a long chain. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I think that
Goodness.
was longer than Liz at the end of Shoot Your Bells.
Yeah, you know what? I think it might have been. Oh gosh. Okay. So you pull out the 6 stone balls that Helios and his minions have been sealed into, and the ferryman has not really reacted to you fumbling your guts out. He's just sort of stood there being very, very patient. But then when you're holding onto these stone spheres, he does sort of just tilt his head to one side. Now, what is it that you have there?
He's desperately trying to think of a better way to put it than the balls of Helios and his followers. He is a little bit rattled.
Yep.
The... Okay, so you know the sithing ritual thing that, Arc came up with? This is, that holds the big... shifts the other balls so he's holding the big ball in one hand. And he goes, this is Helios. This is the others. Yeah.
The ferryman is still and quiet for a second and then just sort of straightens up a bit. You get the feeling his expression physically can't change, and that's just how he shows surprise. And then he sort of steps around the pile of stuff to come closer and reaches one of his little flipper hands out to tap the top of the Helios sphere, ever so gently. And he just goes, "The king brings himself bound into this little thing."
Yeah, honestly, I was expecting it to be bigger. He had kind of a huge ego, but...
Oh, and
Well,
that is
expecting these
something
ones to
he
be
has
bigger.
had for a long time. But the size of the vessel is not indicative of one's ego size, but more indicative of what they have been reduced to. When last we sealed him in a prison, a life lock was put into place to ensure that he would not escape for the duration of his jailer's life. What key have you used on this prison?
Well, the little ones I kind of just held until they got shrunk, and the big one we did a magic circle. I don't know if that's what you mean, but...
What I mean is, what is keeping him from escaping? How will you keep him imprisoned when Arc Alamos could not?
Oh, right, yeah, that's why, here, you take these. I don't know how to get him to Unbekannt. Unbekannt said he'd keep him. They keep him? I don't know.
Unbekannt will take them themselves. Interesting. Well, I don't know exactly how I would present them to him.
Beans.
However, if the deal was made between you and Unbekannt, they will find you. And the best way to lead Unbekannt to you is to pick up a book and start to read. They can't resist
Is that simple?
He has
I
long
mean, I was
been
planning
known.
on reading this place cover to cover anyway, but
Long been known to grant boons to those who tell him stories, who gift him with new knowledge. And where he lingers is places like this. I would recommend something from that section. And he moves his lantern and points it at a particular bookshelf, and it's this really big, solid oak kind of bookshelf, and it's very well laden with books.
can Gali glean at a glance what kind of books they are?
They're all about language. Various different languages. Every language that you've ever heard of has at least one book on that shelf.
Oh. Gali will nod.
The ferryman will nod in response, and he'll bring his spare hand around and give Gali a little bit of a pat on the shoulder. When your duty is done and your delivery made, come out to the town square. There will be someone waiting for you. And he then turns and heads for the door.
Gali is very torn between going to find his brother now and doing this later versus doing this now and then going to find his brother, because he knows himself. He won't want to leave his brother again once they finally re-meet. So
And you don't know how long you're going to be able to keep them in those balls for, so you probably don't want to hang on to them too long.
He figures maybe they might last a little bit longer in hammer space than they would just out, but also he doesn't want to flicky put them back in his hammer space if that is what happens when he tries to get them out again. So he kind of bundles them in his scarf, but doesn't let them go into his hammer space, and then walks over to one of the books, and grabs one on how to properly read and write Unbekannt script, because if Unbekannt likes new knowledge, then maybe he might like a memoir of Gali's travels? He doesn't know.
Okay. Can you please roll for me an Arcana?
Oh, beans. Yeah. Just a flat intelligence for me. That's not bad. 17?
Great. Okay, cool. So you pick up this book and you start reading it, and it feels like nothing particularly is happening. Like it's actually kind of hard to focus on the book because you're so keen to get some stuff done. But after a short while, it becomes apparent that the part of the library that you're in is now completely devoid of other people. It wasn't completely empty before you and the ferryman came in, but it was certainly not heavily populated, and there's a difference between being in a building all by yourself and knowing that there's somebody on the far side of the building, like in another room or something. And this is a completely alone kind of feeling. And then from somewhere behind the bookcase, there's just a quiet, So you did it after all. Good job.
I mean, group effort.
But you're the one who flipped the switch. That's good. And there is the smallest movement from beside the bookshelf. And there's those big, chunky, not quite crystal, not quite stone eyes peeking around the bookshelf at you.
Got Mr. Charisma Dumpstat kind of just awkwardly looked back. Right, reaches into his scarf, unbundles the rocks. There's the... Yeah.
Good. I think the best way to get them to Alf would be... I know. Take that book you're reading, put it on the floor for me.
So?
And, stick them in the book.
Speedrunning the 5 stages of grief, he proceeds to put the rocks in the book. Because fucking Kanto's life is already so goddamn weird.
And once they if he's they got the book open on the floor and he's put these 6 fairly sizable rocks, really, on the pages, and this swarm of letters that is Unbekannt kind of comes out from behind the bookcase a bit more. He's still really acting timid, around Gali, and you're welcome to roll insight on the God of Knowledge if you want.
I can fucking try. Yep.
I'm not good at this one particular thing. Rolls a nat 20.
It's only a +4.
Oh, man. Alright, cool. Well, you're watching the way that this swarm of letters moves, and Unbekannt is definitely still timid. Like, the concept of talking to and being in front of people is almost completely foreign to this person. And, also, he's in his actual form. He normally takes a disguise when he does things like this, but you guys all saw him in his true form on Cinnabar, and he's shown himself to you in his true form. It's almost as though he's trying to force himself to be brave in a social situation, because he doesn't do social situations usually.
Pats him so gently.
But he comes over and you're able to get a really good look at him, much better than when you're on Cinnabar, and some of the letters are a lot bigger than others. There is a really big one, which seems to be his main eye. Like, they all have eyes in them, but that is his eye, in quotes, and all the others are a bit smaller. And he comes over to this book that now has some rocks sitting on it, and two of his letters, the ones, I suppose they're the Y kind of looking shape, kind of stick underneath the covers of this book, and then he just slams it shut. And you would expect a book with 6 rocks in it to not shut or to bulge out through the covers or the pages, but it closes perfectly and they're gone. And then he just lets the book fall back open again. And you can see on the page where they had been sat, there is 6 circle marks, like someone had sat a coffee cup on the pages. And he just sort of frowns a little bit and then closes it again and then opens it up again. And he does that a few times, and it gets a little bit more faint every time he does that. And then he just closes it and kind of hands it back to you, sandwiched between these 2 Y letters.
He takes the book
No, I don't want you to misuse that. And he kind of makes a gesture towards the red band on your wrist.
I mean, I don't know if it would work against non-Pokemon. I'm not exactly in a rush to test that, but if you're worried about it being misused, do you want it?
If you're happy to part with it, I don't really have anything to trade.
Takes it off, holds it out.
Unbekannt will take it, and we'll just hold on to it this time. Thanks.
I mean, the way I see it, you helped get me my brother back. Fair trade for me.
Sorry I didn't do it sooner. But it's my job to know, not to do. So I couldn't.
I get that.
But things will be better now. But maybe you could do me a favor or two?
Sure.
When you go on new adventures, write them down.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I want to hear all about them.
There's a little bit of shocked surprise that like Unbekannt would actually ask for his written experiences, but he's totally willing to do that.
There's this kind of up curling on the bottom of the eye of this main eye of Unbekannt, and then gives a bit of a nod. I should go. No, really. I'm supposed to be where people are, and you got stuff to do.
Yeah, that's fair. Does a little awkward thumbs up.
And there's going to be a returned equally, if not more, awkward, because it has to be done with, like, the Y or the T letter. Like, I'm not quite sure how he's going to manage doing a thumbs up, but he's damn well trying. This is why he normally takes a different form for this shit. He can't really emote properly when he's just a swarm of letters, but he's trying. By gods, he's trying. But he just does that. And then he just sort of lowers it. And then that larger eye sort of zooms behind the bookcase. And it's followed in a hurry in both the sort of the whooshing of things moving through the air and also the flapping of pages of books. All of the letters just disappear behind the bookshelf. And then the air kind of changes a little bit again, as if you're not 100% alone anymore. That there are now other people around, even though no one's come into view or anything, but you're not distinctly alone. And there is warmth and light and chatter coming from that arched doorway, and you have a reunion tabled.
Yeah, he very casually, very casually, he swears he's not almost sprinting. Goes out the door, grabs Wari wherever they were waiting for him while he did this, and then fucking books it to the town square.
And the Ferryman is waiting there, off to one side a little bit. But there is a Pokemon in a dark cape that's distinctly of more interest. And I know that you've seen it, but for the benefit of our audience, I'm going to find a picture of this Pokemon. Let me see. Where is he? Where is the lad? Here's the lad. Yeah, I'm going to put this in my OBS and I'm going to put them next to each other and you will not separate them again. No. But yeah, why don't you give us a rundown on how this reunion goes?
Well, in the interest of, I will probably be RPing this again with Staria. The immediate thing that happens is Gali lets go of Wariwashi's hand, and Orange meets Yellow, and suddenly these two brothers are booking it at each other, and Gali fucking, like, full-on tackles Bear Hug, swinging him around in a circle, laughing, might be crying a little bit, shut up.
Love that. I love that for them. That's great. And, I suppose we could leave it there.
Yeah, good place to stop.
Yeah, that's great. Well, this has been fun.
Family reunion!
Family reunion! This FPS had everything. It was great.
Sorry for almost killing you a couple times.
Fuck me. You have no idea how hard it was to keep a straight face. I'm over here dying, and I'm like, Ark is being a dickhead. But this is the funniest shit. I can't laugh at it. Incredible.
I love playing rude teenagers. They can kind of just say stuff.
Yes, they in fact can. Oh my goodness, golly gosh. I love that. Oh dear. Alright, well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and stop my recording. Thank you everyone for listening. Bye.
Bye.